everybody, welcome to G4G on YouTube. Today we're here in Marvel Future Fight taking a look at the new X-Men, and more specifically I'm going to pilot Emma Frost for you guys because I know a lot of people have been kind of on the fence wondering whether or not they want to get her, whether they want to work her up, and how is she and everything. So for me, real quick, we have the X-Men edging out the Inhumans, which is the side that I honestly wanted to be on. I tried to click X-Men at the time when we got it, and it was like, nope, can't do that. Puts me on Inhumans, and it's like, said something like, yeah, you're a spy, get back over there, and it put me on the side I wanted to anyway, so really happy about that. Alright, so we've got several new X-Men in the most recent patch, including a variety of ways to get them. So Angel is the one that is available through Dimension Rifts. There is a new Dimension Rift out there and a new Angel card that's out there too from his Dimension Rift. Looking at him over here, we can see it's his Angel form rather than Archangel, and I totally admit, just seeing the blonde hair in this mask almost makes me think of the way I've seen Havoc represented a few times. Now obviously Havoc would have a darker mask over there and probably had a little bit less hair, but if I was just glancing at the screen I'd be like, oh, is that Havoc? But yeah, that's clearly Colossus over there, but at first I thought this was Havoc. So it's Angel, not Archangel, which is cool because that opens up the door eventually to potentially have a Archangel uniform. One would think we would have seen Angel and Archangel already because of Apocalypse being in the game, but you know, that Marvel, those kooky Asians doing whatever they do. So he has a gear set of techno-organic wings, X-suit, warm gloves, flight boots, skills of flying feathers. So he is, by the way, a physical attack, but he has a physical attack with additional energy damage, high speed flying, so 2 straight up attacks over here. Wing shield, which applies to enemies a stun and applies to himself. Accumulate 100% of true damage regardless of defense and dodge rate stats. The total true damage accumulated cannot exceed 15% of his hit points. 100% chance for immunity to all damage. Longer than the stun, which is pretty cool because if you were stunning everything and then going immune, you would think it's almost a waste, except for the fact we have to take into account single unstunnable bosses, where you would still obviously want the immunity to damage regardless of the stun because you're not going to be able to stun them. A max hit point recovery increases attack for the damage taken. He has an Angel's Touch passive of a 50% increase to recovery rate, so kind of like Groot and Warwolf, maybe his recovery rate, I think. Flapping Feathers, Angel's Wing, a T2 passive of increasing skill damage and bonus damage, and the effect of Angel's Touch. And Angel's Protection, which is his leadership. All allies, activation rate when debuffed, remove all debuffs every 12 seconds. Angel's Protection and Angel's Touch are very effective in team-based battles like Conquest. It's especially effective when paired with a character that has a focus on hit point recovery effects, like, for example, Groot. So he's basically saying that he, you know, buffs a Healy type team. Now, for a set bonus, I would honestly try to get a, perhaps Stark backing on this, or maybe I Am Also Groot. Stark backing is giving you defense, hit points, critical damage, dodge, and movement speed, whereas I Am Also Groot gives attack, hit points, critical rate, crowd control time, and recovery rate. I honestly would favor I Am Also Groot if you can do it. To me, Stark backing is maybe a little bit more for tanky types that have some slight healing, whereas I Am Also Groot gives him a little bit of a bonus to attack, and the recovery rate, which is pretty cool. So this one kind of is more of like an attacking healer, whereas this one's a little bit more of a tanky healer. I don't think Technician ones, excuse me, I kind of went Technician at the same time, are really the way to go there, and I don't think any of the offensive ones are really the go-to on this. I would go with I Am Also Groot. Custom gear, I would probably go with a recovery rate custom gear and maybe like an invincibility proc or something like that, especially if you are going to take the recommendation and put him in things like Conquest. Here's Colossus. We'll jump over to him. He is combat, whereas Angel is speed. So that gives a little bit of a robust nature to the speed category over there. If you have a decent Quicksilver, but you are fairly noobish with your Quicksilver, or your Quicksilver's weak, perhaps throwing Angel on a team, buffing Quicksilver's hot dog eating move would certainly help out. I like to run my Quicksilver with Spider-Man and Rogue when I can. Then, of course, now we have Shuri, who buffs speed characters and does things like that. So that changes the landscape for speed a little bit. But prior to Shuri being there, I like to do it with Spider-Man and Rogue. Angel would also help a little bit. Here's Emma, but we'll get back to her in a moment. We're going to look at Colossus, who is combat. Very classic looking Colossus here. Character gear of having a steel body, an X-suit, an X-Men belt, and red boots. Skills: regular hammer blow, regular attack with that hammer blow, steel fist, regular massive blow. Very interesting one here. His defenses go up. He activates the following effect for 10 seconds. Activation rate 50% when regular attack skills used. Apply to self. Reset cooldown for skill hammer blow. Cooldown for steel fist. So you want to make sure that hammer blow is used while, massive blow is used while hammer blow and steel fist is on cooldown. It says down here, massive blow's effects make it possible to use hammer blow and steel fist continuously. So it's important to use basic attacks as well. So you have to make sure, it's almost like what several Hunter iterations have gone through in World of Warcraft, where you have to let standard auto attacks go through rather than just spamming skills all the time. I think that is a neat thing to see in the game. I think it's a neat setup to have a character that works this way. He has a passive of decreasing the effect of reflex, and he decreases damage from supervillain type, so that's pretty cool. Rough advance, immunity to damage, pretty cool to see that again with combat. Although combat is not lacking in this, we see this with Titania and Titania's husband have some similar stuff over here. I've actually effectively used Titania in a lot of endgame content because of stuff like what Rough Advance is. Metallic Maelstrom does a stun. It jacks up his dodge rate, and he also has a chance to penetrate super armors, barrier shields, and all damage immune, which is pretty cool. Steel Form is his T2, super armor and all defenses up, skill damage up, bonus damage up, and reflects 100% of physical damage received, and increases Peter's Will, which is also cool, and Guardian of the X-Men. Applies to all allies. Activation 25% rate when hit, 100% chance to become immune to physical damage. I kind of, I did something a few years back where I went and T2'd somebody that nobody ever really did. I saw something in the character that I thought was going to work out, and it was okay, but it never worked out as consistently as I wanted to, and that was Ulik. And it was Ulik going with like straight up crit builds to get lots of resets and everything, and constantly have the Trolls Roar shield up, and it didn't work as well as I had hoped. For a little while, I had a double critical rate obelisk, which helped, but then I upgraded it and I lost the double crit. And as you can see here on his details, he is critting at 70. Well, he's critting at 75% now. I think the last time I looked at him, he was a little lower than this. So at this point, I probably want to favor his critical damage, but I think perhaps combining Colossus with Ulik will be able to do some nice things with Ulik over there. Could be a fun combination. I don't necessarily know. So let's get over and take a look at Magic, and then we're going to save Emma for last. So Magic is over here. She's a little bit low for me. She's going to probably get my next X-Men login pack. This is Modern Magic. So we're certainly used to Magic looking a lot this way. If you go back to Marvel Avengers Alliance, she was in her Phoenix Force. And then we did get a Modern Magic there. I've always had, I would say, a giant love affair for Magic, but I've always liked her in the games that she's been in. Similar to Psylocke, although in Marvel Heroes, I actually think Psylocke fell down a little bit in my eyes compared to MAA, but Magic still stayed really strong. I've always liked Magic in the games where she shows up. And I'm kind of curious as to how she's going to do in this game, but I haven't really looked at her yet. So she's got her Soul Sword and X-Suit, Magical Pauldrons, and Mystical Wrist Guards. Her skills, Magical Blade, so she's probably going to be Energy. Energy, okay. Magical Blades, Energy and Physical. Stepping Discs, really cool to see that come back. That was a fun ability in Marvel Avengers Alliance. Applies to enemies a stun and a bind, which is really nice. They're the same amount of seconds though. And it looks like it doesn't actually go up, but the energy damage is going up over here. Demons of Limbo, summon an illusion with 10% of the summoner's stats. Be interesting if it's a tanky illusion or like the Loki illusions that don't do anything. A passive, an activation rate when skills are used, unlike Colossus, which is when auto attacks are used. Applies to self, attacks up, speeds up, crit rate up. Next effect activates after 3 uses, and a 10% recovery of hit points. Pretty cool. Unfortunately, I mean, let's be honest, the Blastosphere in this game is really crowded with very, very good characters. There's just so much in the Blaster category. From, I mean, Sharog down to Ancient One, to Doctor Strange, to Magneto, to Cable. I mean, it's... And of course, Magic being a female blaster means she doesn't get the AB and ABX play that male blasters do, unfortunately. On regular blast day, I do like to use Sharog because she cleans up quick, but then she can't do anything any other time other than the catch-all days. So... I wish blasters just weren't so crowded with really good characters. But there it is, so that's kind of cool to see. A hit point recovery. Pentagram Trap has a bind. Mystical Armor gives Invincible, which is really nice. Master of Limbo decreases all damage and ups her skill damage, bonus damage, super armor, and defenses. And then there's Dark Clyde, or Dark Child, excuse me. All allies get their critical rate up. Chances of survival can be increased by mixed magic's effects. That's this one, as it allows for effective skill combining. However, using a skill within the 1 second cooldown time means that mixed magic's effect does not activate, so you must time it carefully. So that means you can't just button mash there. You need to be slightly reserved in it. I would probably go with a offensive set for her. You could also make a tactician, or excuse me, a technician case for the fact that you can reduce the cooldowns on her abilities, which means that you can do mixed magic more often. In that particular case, I would probably recommend Spy Tactics over Smart Raccoon, as you get all attack and attack speed, whereas here you're getting attack and defense. However, if you are not really doing well in cooldown duration on cards, you may want to do Smart Raccoon, because that's also built into the ISO set over there. Custom gear, hard to say on that one. Perhaps, you know, if any spare CTPs are around, guard break immunity applies to self penetration. This one would be pretty decent. An all attack would be good, but when the hit points are below 40%, that might be better for some other characters. You know, could do an ignore dodge or ignore defense on, like, ignore dodge, something good over here, and a bonus to attack might work out pretty well. So now let's go ahead and take a look at Emma. Emma's a little deceiving if you're doing her preview skills, because it doesn't quite work the way it would when you're out in the field with her. So let's go to preview skills. I find her to be worth it. To sum it up, I find Emma definitely worth pushing over to T2. She will remind you a little bit of Enchantress, except better. So we're going to turn the AI on, and you'll see her 5 does this. You have a beam. You have a kick, which Marvel Heroes used a lot of Emma's kicking abilities. We have this kind of homing missile shot, and then we have diamond form, which is decreasing damage by 60%. We have the slow walk, and well over 100 hits there for that combo. And you'll notice what they do is they're fighting each other for it. So they're essentially leaving you alone, and it actually kind of groups them up a little bit. Okay. Now let's go ahead and discuss actually what you're seeing over here. I meant to do this the other day when I absolutely clobbered a boss with Emma. And I think I will do it again on this video, because I was doing it on PC control, not on the tablet, so obviously controlling the directionals aren't always as easy on the PC unless you're binding. So, Mind of a Queen is her passive. 100% chance to penetrate barriers and shields, increases her mind resistance and her mind damage. By the way, that's what I have here on an obelisk that I'm building for her, is mind damage. Her ISO set, I went with Hawk's Eye. It works pretty well. You could again make a technician case a little bit there, but I pulled Hawk's Eye pretty early on, so I was stuck with it. Mind Blast. Illusion Strike was the kick. Diamond Form. Super Armor, all defenses up. 30% increase to all attacks. Decreases all damage received by 85%, so that's pretty good. Mind Cloaking. Guaranteed dodge rate by 20%. Enhanced Mind Blast. 100% chance for immunity to all damage. White Queen's Trap. Decrease the mind resistance of people. Bind them. And Psionic Shield. Decreases debuff duration. So the White Queen's Trap is the one that makes enemies fight each other, and the Enhanced Mind Blast is the all damage immunity over here. White Queen's Trap mind control effect shines brightest when used against multiple enemies. Mind control will work on world bosses. even on targets who usually aren't affected by debuffs like this. So, White Queen's Trap to mind control people as it's wearing off, Mind Blast to get your immunity, roll into your other abilities ending on Diamond Form. Well, it depends. It could go either way. You could use Diamond Form for the increase to attack and do it early on and buff your attacks, or do it for the damage decrease after Enhanced Mind Blast is wearing off. Probably it's best to go into a fight with Diamond Form to get the all attack increase, and then do something like White Queen's Trap, Mind Blast, so on and so forth. So this conversation I'm having with my good friends here on Discord is actually quite wrong, but it does remind me that April is going to be a very interesting month, at least for me. Legion is coming back on TV. In case you are not familiar with this show, you should absolutely check it out. It is basically based off of Professor X's son and his battles with the Shadow King. It stars Aubrey Plaza in it. Really, really cool. I like Aubrey Plaza in this. She's good, and I don't always like her in the roles that she does. And Syd Barrett, the actress who plays Syd Barrett in this show, is particularly attractive. It is a really good show. It makes you feel like you're on acid, so take Legion in limited doses. It may be a hard one to binge, unless you really need to catch up. I am still catching up on Runaways, and I'm close to finishing my catch up on Gifted, so that's going to be cool. So that starts April 3rd, and then on April 1st, Family Guy is doing a World of Warcraft theme episode, which, if we all remember the South Park episode, it was pretty classic, so hopefully the Family Guy one comes close. So let's take Emma out on a boss run over here. We're going to do a world boss. Supergiant will be cool. I think I had run her against Corvus at the time. No, maybe Ebony Maw. And she did really, really well. And I'll show you my favorite team up for her. It is... unfortunately, it consumes Cyclops, who goes very well with Magneto and Cable. And we're going to get Jean Grey over here. So this is what I like to run her with. And then, unfortunately, debuff duration down by 24%. That's not a leadership I want. Activation rate when debuffed removes all debuffs. Not bad, but I like to put Psych in the lead for the all attacks, all defense. We're getting Summer Love with energy attack up, crit rate up, crit damage up, all attack, and then all attack there. Typical leaderships over here. There's Groot with the recovery rate. Don't really need it. Not gonna worry about the physical attacks too much. Honestly, I would like another either energy attacker, or... that's the cool thing about Emma, is you finally have uses for these characters over here again. Typically, you only really do it with Enchantress, but we'll do that. So we're loading up over here. I mean, she's very good. Alright, so basically, starting off with that real quick. Here's Emma's mind control ability. There's her immunity, so we're going to go in with the physical attacks. Diamond Form coming out of it. Mind control again. And there you go. 20 seconds. So, I had used her against Thanos and killed Thanos in under 20 and had no enrages whatsoever. Thanos was not able to do any special abilities whatsoever, just went straight from full hit points to death. So, yeah, she's definitely a lot of fun. Unfortunately, she can't really do that much in the ABs because she is females compared to Male Blast, which can do a little bit more. But I think she's definitely worth T2ing. I also recently T2'd Shuri, and I went for Killmonger. I didn't really like super push for him, but I went for it. By the way, I did see Black Panther last week and thought it was a really excellent movie. What I like to do for super fast clears, I'll do Magneto, Cyclops, and Cable. Since I've already consumed Cyclops, I go with a Magneto team up and get his... where is this one kid there? I go for him, and then I get the grandfather. We have 45% increase to all attacks. We don't need mind on this one, so we'll go with that. I really did not regret going for Emma stuff, so I got the initial package, and then I think I did 2 more to get her maxed out. My luck was not super bad there. This is probably all it's going to take for Cable. 7 seconds. I mean, yep, so Emma's not doing 7 seconds, but by the same token, Emma's actually less squishy than Cable. So a lot of people are like, okay, well, where does Emma rank compared to Adam Warlock? That's another blaster and everything like that. They don't compare because, of course, Adam Warlock is like a native T2 who consumes other biometrics and is very expensive and everything like that. I would say that Emma is probably stronger than Adam Warlock because not only can she do shit in Timeline, she is capable of doing it in other game modes too, where Adam Warlock typically does not shine. So I would find Emma to probably be a little cheaper. So here's one I've not shown off in video before. It's the fact that I went after Quasar. I had a couple friends recommend Quasar, and some people said, she didn't really have the DPS. I think she does, and this is the team up that I like to use when doing universal runs where I need Quasar. These two can be flopped around. You can either have Quasar in the lead and get a decrease in skill cooldowns, or have her in the lead and get energy attack. We'll get the same stuff again over here. Again, you want energy or plus damage to villains, if that's what you're fighting, of course. That's where Killmonger's pretty good. Killmonger helps you with like your Scarlet Witch and Cable and Quicksilver days for world bosses, because he has the passive of extra damage to superheroes. So we're going to switch to Quasar. These two abilities, 5 and 4, keep her generally safe. When 5 and 4 are done, you go for the shield, you go for her close range physical attacks, and then go back to the 5-4 again. I mean, there you go. She did about as well as Emma did. I have no problems with Quasar whatsoever. I think she does fine damage, and I think she even handles herself pretty well on Universal Hero Day. I had been using Miss Marvel for a long time because my Odin is absolutely trash. Trash tier, wood tier, bronze tier garbage. So I've not been using the strongest one that I can over there, and coming upon Quasar made things a little bit happier for me. I was like, oh, that's cool. It's funny, I often use Quicksilver for the highest level of Villain Siege when the ones that are recommended are not too good for me, and here's Quicksilver actually being recommended. I still say Netmarble has some issues making things up with the fans. I think the loot box issue in the winter, late fall, winter or so, was really bad. I think it was really bad for them because it came out at a time in which EA had really set the trend for fucking up loot box things. And then here comes Netmarble introducing loot boxes in a game that never had it before, hot on the heels of all the flack that EA got. And if you haven't been keeping up with the news, EA has said, okay, well, you can unlock all the characters now in Star Wars Battlefront. So, EA caved under tremendous pressure to fix things, and it's good to see that they did it. It's not to say that we can think that EA has changed their spots, because Leopards don't. But we can say that, you know, it's at least something until they come up with some other harebrained scheme of stealing your money. By the way, in the event shop pretty much every day... Oh, yeah, okay, cool. Forgot about that. So 2 days left in this. You've got 2 days left to hit all of these, which is basically 60 in all of the characters, and then 3-star mastery and 6-star mastery in all the characters. So, you know, get them up to a typical 6,660. And in the event quest, in the event shop, I had been picking Angel because I don't need Cyclops ones. And I think I'm ready to go ahead and T2 Angel. Well, actually, that was the last one. Yeah, so I've mostly been focusing on Angel, although I think one day I did Cyclops. And that's about it for this video. I hope maybe I helped you make a decision with Emma. I find Emma's probably a much better way to go than Adam Warlock. She'll be cheaper, and Adam really only has a use, I think, mostly for timeline battle. I've been slowly working Jean up over here. After Jean is done, I've asked around, I said, okay, what's the next native T2 that I should go with? And people have actually been pointing to APOC for Combat Villain Day. I would agree with that. I think my Carnage either needs a little bit more tweaking and a little bit more work, or I don't know what, but I feel like my Combat Villain Day is not anywhere near as good as it should be. I mean, maybe it's Uruz. Yeah, I need to work as Uruz a little bit more. But he's maxed out on his skills. He has power of an Angry Hulk. His ISOs are not bad at all. He has an Ignore Dodge Obelisk with Guard Break immunity. And increased damage by 200%. I mean, this is a pretty good Obelisk, other than the fact that he still takes the stuns and everything. But, I don't know. I just feel like my Carnage probably isn't putting out the damage he should. But then again, I'm spoiled by good Quicksilvers, Cables, and Wolverines, and Sharrods, and Doctor Stranges. And, yeah. Well, like I said earlier, let's just look at the blasters, and you'll see relevant, sort of relevant, newly relevant, pretty relevant, relevant, very relevant, used to be relevant, still hanging in there, underappreciated, pretty solid, very relevant support, nowhere, very relevant support, high DPS, don't underestimate Yellow Jacket in this suit. Very relevant in Jean Grey. Relevant in Timeline Battle. Pretty good team up here. Quake, pretty good team up for newbies. Moon Girl, pretty good team up with Wolverine when you can do it. And good for bonus mind damage. Good for bonus energy for teams. So, I mean, the Blastosphere is really, really crowded. If you look at speed, fell off the radar, fell off the radar, fell off the radar, very relevant, huge support, huge timeline battle, fell off the radar, underestimated and underappreciated with Vulture, actually very solid. Ant-Man fell off the radar. Black Widow fell off the radar. Groot, good support, but so was Angel. Yondu, a lot of people like. He was king of speed for a little while. But Blaster, I'm still going to say, is winning. And then Combat, very relevant. relevant team-up for both villain and hero combat, especially when paired with Wolverine. Not relevant, but not bad. Considered the poor man's Wolverine. Not that relevant. Relevant for Combat Villain Day. Killmonger, relevant against heroes. Iron Fist fell off the radar. Moon Knight fell off the radar. Sandman was always kind of an underground pick. Titania, I like her for things, but nobody really ever talks about her. Failed experiment, kind of. Valkyrie, good bonus to combat. Anti-Venom, pretty solid, especially when teamed up with other symbiotes. Werewolf was a good support, not so much anymore. Relevant. And then combat kind of dies over here. I mean, there's just so much power within the Blastosphere over here. It's just really hard to compare a lot of other classes to. The depth of the blaster category is really, really strong. Whereas combat has a lot of good support, but only a limited amount of like main DPSers and everything. And you know, just for the hell of it, let's look at Universal to cover it all. So Universal, relevant for newbies, relevant for me because my Odin sucks. Very high skill cap on Clea. Like, you really need to be on your toes to do Clea well, but she's very good when you do it. Heimdall, not on the radar. Hela, pretty good. Relevant, I would say. Loki, relevant. Quasar, underrated, maybe misunderstood. Thor, good for newbies. Does okay. Kind of, you know, middle tier. Ultron's rework doesn't matter. Thanos, relevant. The Black Order, sort of relevant. Odin, relevant. Anti-Man, I think a lot of people like Anti-Man and Blue Marvel. Satana and Hellstorm had their chance to shine for a little while. I would say Satana's a little bit more relevant. Nova's considered pretty good. Hype never lived up to the hype. And a lot of people have said Medusa is good for support on the Universal side. And of course, Ronan has great leadership for Universal. So, yes, Universals have a smaller populace, but I just really think Blast wins. It's just very, very hard to fight how many good Blast heroes there are. And there's the Emma Frost package. I think it's worth it. I think if you have the crystals, certainly go for it. And if you don't have the crystals, I think she would be worth the cash. So if we're saying she's 12, what is it like to get 1,200 crystals for a pack? So this special pack, so $9 gets you really close to one of her packages. You would only need 100 in-game crystals. That's not too bad. And, you know, well, not the X-Men Special Pack, but the X-Men Special Pack gives you 2,000, so that's almost close to 2 packages. That's overboard. The $27 package should probably get you there, and that's a little steep for free-to-play players, but I think it's worth it. I just wish Netmarble would put a little less emphasis on diving into the cashola for people, especially after the winter, but I don't know. Some people may say it's hard to complain about that. So there is, oh, and by the way, don't forget about the new Angel cards in the Angel Rifts, and help your friends out and open Angel Rifts when you can. That's my video, folks. See you later.